Hi everyone, welcome back to another third grade math lesson. My name is Miss Gismar and today we're going to be working on multiplication times tables for twos. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. As always, we're going to start with a brief warm-up. So what I have here is I have a repeated addition equation and I want us to, one, solve it, and two, turn it into a multiplication problem. So let's turn it into a multiplication problem first. So go ahead and grab your whiteboards and markers, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I have the number 5, that's the number that I am repeating, and I am multiplying it how many times? So to find that number, I'm going to count how many times I have 5 in my repeated addition equation. So I have it 4 times, so we're going to have 5 times 4 as our multiplication problem. And then to solve, we can do this 2 ways. So we can just add the repeated addition equation, or we can skip count by 5s. I'm going to skip count because I think it's a little bit quicker. So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, and 20. So our answer, we created a problem. So 5 times 4 is equal to 20. All right. So now let's move on to our application problem for today. So Anna picks 24 flowers. She makes equal bundles of flowers and gives 1 bundle to each of her 7 friends. She keeps a bundle for herself too. How many flowers does Anna put in each bundle? So I think it's really important to first figure out how many people we are going to have to give flowers to. So it says right here that she gives 1 bundle to each of her 7 friends. So we have 7, but it also says she keeps a bundle for herself. So that means that we are going to have 8 bundles of flowers. And it says that she picked 24. So what we have to do is we have to use the fair share method to make 8 groups, 8 equal groups up to 24 that equal 24. So I'm going to use a star stamp, and I'm going to make 8 boxes to represent our bundles. And so what this represents is this is each person that's getting a bundle of flowers. And now what I'm going to do, now that I have my 8 boxes, is I'm going to put 1 flower, I'm going to use a star stamp, 1 flower in each box until I hit 24. So here we go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the first round of 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and now we hit 24. So now one thing we have to double check is, does each box have the same number of stars in it? So each box I see has 3. So that means we made our equal groups. So now I'm going to write our division sentence here. So we had 24 flowers, and we divided it into equal groups of 8. So how many flowers are going to be in each bundle? 3. So how many flowers does Anna put in each bundle? We just found out that answer is 3. Go ahead and move on to our content for today. So here, we're going to be working on times tables today. So what is a times table? Well, a times table is when you start at like 2 and you skip count each time. It's just a faster way to pretty much solve those repeated addition equations or to solve multiplication problems, because they're going to be the same every time. So for example, a times table for 2, which is what we're going to talk about, we're going to go more in depth about here in a minute, would be if you were to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's a times table. And we would be able to very quickly solve problems because of if we have those memorized. So we're going to work some more on those right now. So we're going to start by looking at these two arrays. So this first one, we have 4 rows of 2. I'm going to write that for us here. We have 4 rows of 2. Over here, we have 2 rows of 4. Perfect. So what I want us to do is I want us to, is to solve this problem by creating a multiplication sentence. So if I have 4 rows, so I'm going to write, that's how many I have, and each row has 2 circles in it. How many do I have in total? So we just took this array and we turned it into a multiplication problem, super simple. And now I'm going to use my times tables to find out what the answer to this problem is. So we do that by skip counting. So I'm just going to use this array as a visual and skip count. So I have 2, 4, 6, and 8. So 4 times 2 is 8. Now, let's look at this. Let's solve this one as well. So again, we're going to start with how many rows that we have. So I have 2 rows here. And how many circles are in each row? There are 4. So I want to skip count again. I'm going to skip count by 4s this time. So I have 4 and 8. The answer is 8 as well. So I want you to take a quick look at this. What similarities do you see here between the two arrays? One thing that I noticed is that these arrays are the same. But if I took this array here and I turned it 90 degrees this way, so I just took it and I flipped it over like this, it would look like this. And if I took this one and I turned it again, it would look like this one. So they're the same array, basically, except they're just turned differently. And so because they have the same number, the same rows, all of that, and it's just the way that they're turned, they are going to have the same answer. So when we have that, when they look essentially the same, it's just how they're structured. That is called the commutative property. I'm going to write that out for us so we can take a look at that. Commutative property. And that's just a word that means that no matter if you do 4 times 2 or 2 times 4, they're going to equal the same thing. It's like when you have multiplication and you do 4 plus 5 equals 9. You can flip it around and do 5 plus 4, and it's going to give you the same thing. So this works for pretty much all of multiplication. So let's look at that a little bit more. Try another one out. So here's another times table that we can look at. So I want us to create a multiplication problem for this. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. And how many circles are in each row? I see 2. And that's going to give us an answer. So now we're going to use our array as a visual to skip count. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So 8 times 2 equals 16. Perfect. So now I'm going to move on to another. So draw an array that shows 6 rows of 2. I already drew that. You can draw that on your whiteboard. So here I have 6 rows of 2. And we're going to write a multiplication problem for that. So 6 rows times 2 circles in each row equals a total of how many? Again, let's skip count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we have a total of 12 circles. So now I'm going to flip it, and we're going to use the commutative property and turn it and do the same thing with the next array. So I'm going to clear my screen. So now I have an array that shows 2 rows of 6. I'm going to go back. So look at this array and see how it's just turned. So it's like this. If we go back, this is the same array. It's just vertical like this. So I just took this one and I flipped it this way. Now draw 2 rows of 6. We have that here. Write our multiplication problem. So I'm going to do 2 times 6 equals what? So we're going to skip count again. So we're just going by 6 this time. So we have 6 plus 6 is equal to 12, which is the same answer that we got on the last problem, which shows how we use the commutative property. Because on the last one, we had 6 times 2 equals 12. And on this one, we have 2 times 6. So they're essentially the same thing. We just flip the numbers, and it gives us the same answer. All right, so real quick, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oops. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me. Draw an array that shows 6 rows of 2. We already did that one. That's one we just did, so perfect. I'm going to bring us down here. It says write a multiplication sentence for each expression, and you may skip count to find the totals. So, as you see, we have 6 2's, so they wrote 6 times 2 equals 12. Let's try, I'm going to do B and C, and then I'm going to have you guys do D on your own. So 2 6's is going to be 2 groups of 6, so 2 times 6. And we have the answer equals 12. Next we have 7 2's, so I'm going to have 7 groups with 2 in each group equals how many? So we can skip count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. So I skip counted by 2 7 times. Now I have 2 groups of 7. Go ahead and try that one on your own. You can press pause, and I'm going to go ahead and keep going. So 2 groups of 7. I have 2 groups with 7 in each group equals the same thing, equals 14. Good. So I'm going to keep going and just do E and F. So 9 2's. I have 9 groups with 2 in each group. We're going to skip count to find the answer. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. So 9 times 2 equals 18. 2 9's, we have 2 groups with 9 in each group, and it's going to equal the same thing because of the commutative property. 9 times 2 equals 18. Let's move on to, we'll just keep going and do a couple more. We'll do number 5 and number 7, and then we'll call it a day, just because I want you guys to have some time to kind of think about that information and practice some more on your own if you want to. So write and solve multiplication sentences where the second factor represents the size of the row. So that means we're going to write a multiplication sentence, and the second number is going to have how many fishes are in each row. So here, I'll show you. So our first number is always the number of columns. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 columns of fish. And now it's saying the second factor represents the size of the row. So we're just going to see how many fish are in each row. There are 2 fish in each row here. So how many do we have in total? We can skip count, or we can just count the pictures, but there are 8 fish right here. So just like that. Now let's do it again. I have 2 rows here. And how many fish are in this row? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 times 4 we have right here is the same as 4 times 2, which equals 8 because of the commutative property. All right, I'm going to scroll down to number 7. We're going to do 7 and 8. So 5 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 5. So we're going to do the rest of these little clouds, and we're just making the sentence true. So like for this one, 5 times 2 is equal to 2 times 5. We're just using the commutative property to make them true. So this one says 8 times 2 is equal to what? 8 times 2 is equal to 2 times 8. 2 times 10 is the same thing as 10 times 2. And 9 times 2 is the same as 2 times 9 because of the commutative property. Let's look at number 8. Jada gets 2 new packs of erasers, and each pack has 6 erasers in it. draw an array to show how many erasers she has altogether. So I have 2 packs of erasers, and each pack has 6 in them. So I'm going to draw my first pack here. I have 6, and I'm going to draw my second pack. Here's my array. Write and solve a multiplication sentence to describe the array. So we have two groups with 6 in each group. How many do I have in total? You can count. You can count them or you can skip count, but I see a total of 12. So 2 times 6 equals 12. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit so we can see C. I'm going to clear my screen. Use the commutative property to solve a different multiplication sentence for this array. So we had 2 times 6 equals 12 for this one. Now we're going to do use the commutative property. So we're just going to flip the numbers. So we're going to do 6 times 2 equals 12. Because it's still the same answer, we just flip the numbers. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. That's going to be all for today's lesson. Make sure you come back tomorrow or later this week to check out some of my other lessons or see what Miss Pino is doing with the 3rd grade math as well. If you want some more practice, I have linked some games, I have linked some more homework problems, and I have linked some times table worksheets for you to try out in the learning guide. So go ahead and check those out as well. I hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.